Tres, dos, unos. Buenos días, mi gente.
Buenos dias.
Como se fala em português?
Bom dia.
Bom dia, mi gente.
Minha gente.
Mi gente.
Minha gente.
I'll do this whole thing in Spanish. You do it in Portuguese.
Vamos lá.
Vamos lá. Vamos hacerlo. All right, boo. God's timing is perfect. Let me read. So this is. I already did a video on this by myself. What happened? You're
Mhm.
already laughing? What?
Huh?
I want to know now.
Just a quick change in the natural.
Well, serious time now. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Ephesians 3:20. Now all the glory to God, who is able through his mighty power at work within us to accomplish infinitely more than we can think, infinitely more than we might ask or even think. And so when I wrote this, when I talked about this topic of God's timing is perfect, I feel like we talked a lot about that tonight, just like with our story and stuff like that.
I feel like we talk about that
All the
all the
time.
time.
I know. Well, we don't I don't think that we necessarily put it, at least I don't always put it in the context of God's timing is perfect. I feel like I put it in the terms of God's timing is annoying. God's timing is frustrating. God's timing is not on our timing, and
Yeah.
but then when we look back, we can see like all the pieces that we would have missed had we not been patient with his timing
Yeah.
and willing to wait and stuff like that. And like that, if the Ephesians 3:20, where it just talks about like when we're just the mere fact that we can't even think or imagine, we don't even have the creativity to ask enough from God, because I think a lot of times we limit God to just asking for little. Like, God, this is all I need to be able to get by. This is all I want. But His Word says that we can't even fathom the ability to be able to ask properly something that He can capably do. But we just kind of put Him in a box of like, God, I just need to make $4,000 a month. Like, help me make 4,000. Meanwhile, it's like, what if you can make $20,000 a month? Or like, God, like, please just heal me of this one area. And He's like, I can give you so much more, but we can't even think or imagine. And like, respect to timing, we want things kind of to be perfect and right in a season of our life. Like for us, like moving to a new state, starting over, and just wanting that specific season to be just right and comfortable. Meanwhile, God is like looking at the big picture, at the big purpose of our life, at the big, creative plan that He has for us. And we just have to be patient in His timing. Ask, continue to ask some more, ask even more, and then wait. And then I asked a question in this. And I'll ask you this question too if you want to answer this so you can chime in. So I'm not just the only one talking.
Just giving you your time.
Is if we ask and yet we do not receive, are we okay with that? Are you okay with that?
It's so funny because I was like singing the lyrics to the song, right? The Jonathan trailer that we were listening to in the car on our way back home. And he talks about what's the song go? How does it go? We were just singing it, but it was like, am I, how does it go? Like something along the lines like, do I love you because of what you do for me? How does it go?
I don't know which song
You
you're
know what
talking
I'm
about.
talking about? We were
I
just
know
listening
that
to
once
it.
I hear it. Which song is it?
We do I want you? Do I love you for what you can do for me?
Oh no, that's not.
Sometimes I don't know.
That's not Jonathan Trailer.
That's not him.
No,
So oh,
Blessing
that's
Offer.
Blessing Offer. Yeah, sorry, Blessing. Yeah, that
Believe,
song,
believe.
Believe. Thank you. Yeah, that's so relatable, right? Because sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I don't know that if I love you for what you can do for me, or
Mm-hmm.
do I love you
Yeah,
because I love you?
yeah.
And sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I'm praying and I don't know if I am okay with it not happening. But I think a lot of times too. What was your question?
If
That was your
we,
question,
yeah,
right?
if we
Will it
ask
be
and we don't
okay?
receive, will we be okay with it?
It's hard. I think human nature, it's hard to be okay. And I think that's a normal reaction. But we do have to look for our okayness and our peace in Him, regardless of our situation, because that's where our peace comes from. But I think too, a lot of times we pray for something, God opens a door, but we're not willing to walk through that door because
Yeah,
it's tough. So it's also, there's also that piece of praying, right? Because you're praying, or you're praying, but then you're not willing to move, because prayer requires action in everything. I can't think of one single thing
you have
that
to
it
have
wouldn't.
action.
Like literally everything. Even if you're looking for a miracle in your health, that still requires action. That still requires, well, maybe you need to change your diet. Maybe you need to look for alternatives to medicine. There's so like, and you need to search, you need to talk to people, right? So I think in every single thing you're praying for, it requires you to step in faith, step in action, so that you can see something actually happening in your life.
Yeah, I was talking to Pastor Willie about this yesterday, and this is, I think, the ultimate level of like how we can get to have the best relationship with God, and that's like when in the Bible where it talks about seek and you will find, ask and it will be answered, knock and the door will be opened. It's not just a one-time thing; it's a continual thing. But the thing is, with like I asked you that question, and it's because if we don't receive like the healing that we're looking for,
Mm,
do we still have the peace to know that like yes, God's timing is still perfect because we're still gonna get the answer. Maybe not in this lifetime, but in heaven,
mm,
which is like, oh, that's not the time I want it. That's that's not when I want. I want it now.
mm,
God, I want it now. But if He doesn't give us to it now, give us our answer now. Having the peace to know that, like, regardless, God, of like when it is you answer me, I'm still gonna have like a peace that surpasses understanding. I'm still gonna worship you. And like, so we were talking about this woman who she's young, she's in her mid 20s, and she has for the second time been diagnosed with cancer, and this time it's stage 4 cancer of the heart. And she's she got baptized last Sunday, and her husband's a non-believer, and she's at this point now, it seems like, where regardless if she gets her answer here, because she's obviously hoping for a miracle, why not?
mhm,
Why not believe that God can heal her like this?
mhm,
And to use her as a testimony to the doctors to be like, "What? This isn't supposed to happen like this.
mhm,
This is only supernatural." But what if she also gets her answer on the other side of heaven when she pierces the veil?
mm,
Is that timing still not perfect? And in her peace that she has now, she's able to testify to her husband.
right.
She's able to testify to so many people who have been believers. They're like the power of that testimony that came over Pastor Willie, that came over Edwin, that came over Phil, just filled everybody with hope. Because if someone who is in that situation, it puts things into perspective. If someone who's in stage 4 cancer,
Exactly.
facing death, Like that's a thought that's constantly running through your mind. Like
And
today
it's
can be my last,
painful, right?
and it's
That's
painful.
painful.
Like when she got baptized, she couldn't go in the tank because she had the some like tube that was tied to like radiation. So she ultimately ended up sitting in front of the tank and putting her head back, and
They poured the water.
somebody poured water over her. And obviously, like getting into the tank doesn't signify you being cleansed or you being bad. It's the outward expression that you're doing regardless of how you do it. But so many times we've had the conversation about just like wanting some breakthrough to happen, or just wanting a season to be rushed through and finally get out of that valley. But looking back at it, all those things now, you look at it, man, God was building me for who I am today.
Yeah.
That that valley that I was in is a testimony today. That valley that we were in cannot be taken away from us to signify like the realness and the goodness of God.
But also, I think it helped us really see God's hand in our situation. Because a lot of times we don't notice the miracles of just everyday life, right? We don't notice it because it's so natural, it's so common, but it's still a miracle every day that we're living. But yet we don't notice it because it's just present every day. And so for that to be disrupted and you're like, whoa, I thought this was going to be easy and it's not, then I think it helps you see God move because then you're like, oh man, is this going to happen? Is this going to happen for me? And then begin to talk, begin to get closer to God because you're searching for the answers. You're searching for, whatever you can. And then you slowly hear him speak to you. But not only that, you also slowly see him move
Hmm.
in your situation. If you just stay still, if you just be still and know he's God, and you'll just see his situation. And I think it's so beautiful for somebody like that to be in that kind of situation, but just be like overcome with peace. And like you said, it's such a testimony to the people around her or him or whoever it is, when when you're going through something so painful and people just see like you're so peaceful, joyful, and it's
Yeah.
like,
Like why?
why? How?
Explain it.
And I think that's also very selfless because I think about it. I think about the people who had that happen to them, who had their kids, right, young kids, their family that they were essentially saying bye to. But you also have to think about them because you go, but they're gonna live. So by you maintaining that peace, letting just like feeling peace in the situation and feeling peace in with God, you're setting up uh, their environment as well
Yeah.
when you're gone
Yep.
because they feel more peace because you felt peace.
Yeah.
Because if you're in pain and you're like, I can't believe, like, how am I gonna leave? Like, you know what I mean? If you're just constantly putting saying out loud the thoughts that everyone's already thinking, it just creates this like fear in everybody that's around you.
Hmm.
And it's hard to get over too, right? Because if you're already having that fear of like seeing somebody you love go through that and they're in pain, not that we like we've heard it's painful and stuff, but that they're just like miserable, you're like, it's gonna be tough for you to overcome and be okay with that situation.
Hmm.
So I think it's also a very selfless thing for someone who is going through that to just really let go and let God like just bring them peace.
Yeah, it's such a difficult thing to put into perspective of going through
Yeah.
because it is very selfless, but at the same time, it's still very real and it's still very painful.
Yeah.
And you're choosing, because it's still a choice
Yeah.
to have. You're choosing to not understand everything, and you're choosing to say like, God, I really want a miracle. But if I'm believing in you and in your timing, then I have to know that the answer to my question is possibly no,
Mm.
or not yet, or not at all, or you're just not asking the right question. Not talking specifically in the terms of this lady who has cancer, but like in whatever situation that we're being frustrated with God's timing. Maybe we're just not asking the right thing, or we're not asking big enough. I mean, think about it like in terms of like our if our kids come up to us and say like, "Can I have I don't know, can I have this popsicle stick to play with?" And you're like, "What? No, like you have a brand new, I don't know, $1,000 toy that like I'm just I'm just trying to paint a picture of like one extreme to the next. Like they're asking for something so simple and like they're not even having the capable mind to be able to ask for something that
But
God
would
can
you really
provide.
deny that pop them playing with that popsicle stick? Yes, they do have that $1,000 toy, but is it so bad to for them to play with the popsicle stick?
No, but I'm putting in the sense of us not having the capable mind to be able to even ask for the vastness of what God had. We're like limiting God and putting him in a box of
And I think
like
that
we're only thinking of a popsicle stick. Like, God, can I please just play with this popsicle stick? Meanwhile, he's like, dude, like
and I think that's
ask bigger, ask grander things.
and I think everybody, is able to have bigger things. Um in whatever way that looks like for them, right? But I think that's another thing we're talking about today is how people limit themselves, just
Yeah.
even themselves of what they can do.
Yeah.
And so in that limiting themselves, they're also limiting what they're praying for because they're like, well, this isn't gonna happen. So
Yeah. It's like, okay, you
you're
come
like realistic prayer.
yeah, exactly. Like, well, this is within the scope of what I think
Yeah.
is real is possible.
Yeah.
Like we're putting God inside of a box.
Hmm.
I'm speaking to myself too because
Everybody.
I've been literally this is something that I've this week been kind of working on because I feel like I've had the same prayers over and over and just the same conversations with God. I'm like, God, like, are you tired of me talking to you though? Like, do you want me to uh, like I feel like I'm already real with him, but at the same time I'm like, okay, well, let me just let me start asking for something that I don't even think is possible.
Mm.
Because it's not in my possible like my mind uh minute, is that the right word? My mind is in a box,
Mm.
right? Like I'm putting myself in these four walls. Let me try to step outside of that and ask in the vastness of what God's abundance is. If He's the creator of everything, if He's the creator of me, if He's the creator of the universe, He's all creative. Let me not put limitations on this guy and see and see what He can do and
Mm.
see what He says yes to. If He's gonna say yes to the popsicle stick, let me try. Let me shoot for the moon and ask him for something that I'm like, God, let me walk by someone's house and then come out the door and be like, hey, you kind of look like the person that was in my dreams. You want to have this house? Like God, like yeah, like let that happen to me when I go for a walk. Why not? Why am I putting limitations on God? If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But I won't know if I don't ask. And like in the scripture, I forget where it is, where it literally says, keep asking, keep knocking, keep searching, and you will find. It doesn't say that you have to do it one time.
Mm.
I think God really wants us to just be like really in pursuit, like God, please, God, like. But then I feel like eventually when we seek His heart,
Yeah, that's good. That's what I was thinking. It's the seeking of the heart, right? Being in your scriptures and really getting that wisdom that's there.
yeah, because when we seek His heart, we think with what we want. But when He puts His will in our heart, then we start asking what it is He wants, that what He's wanted from the beginning for us. So I feel like that's when doors start opening, and
Mm.
that's when answers to prayers start happening, because it's like we're no longer seeking our own heart. We're seeking His heart for the purpose that He has put us in this world for, that He's created us for.
And also
Because
to step outside of yourself too, to have more of a servant's heart.
yeah,
I think that's also where you'll also find
mm-hmm.
what you're looking for or what you didn't even know you were looking for.
Because everything has a purpose.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't know the purpose they have,
Hmm.
and I think
But I
you know,
think purpose can look different.
I think it can,
It can change.
yeah.
I think it's this different seasons of your life is a different purpose.
But I think foundation, I think there's a purpose that everybody has no matter what,
Mm.
and that's just it, yeah. I think purpose can look different in different seasons of your
So,
life.
but then are you talking about like a gift
No,
versus,
I'm talking about serving. I think everybody has a purpose to serve. I think
well, yeah,
everybody has a
but
purpose to
are you saying
live.
specific purpose to serve? Because what are you saying?
No, I'm saying like foundationally, and then you can build upon that based off of the giftings that you have. But purpose wise, like everybody has the purpose to serve, to be selfless outside of ourselves, to
Yeah.
serve other people in
Yeah.
whatever capacity. That's where the giftings come in, and that's where you place it on top of your purpose to be able to, God has created you with more, with your uniqueness in your purpose.
I think service is just beneficial for anyone, and this is even across the board with other religions, even practice this with serving, right? Saying the benefits of serving and how much it does for you, for your body, for your well being, because you begin to step out of yourself and your little world and it's like, oh, I'm the only one going through this problem. There's only me in this world going through this.
Hmm.
But then when when you forget, when you serve other people, when you see what you can do for other people, you step away from that, and mentally that can really be helpful for you, really bring you peace. And so I think, yeah, like you said, we were created to serve. We were created to be around other people in whatever that looks like in terms of service.
Yeah, whatever your calling, your giftings are.
Yeah.
Yeah, God's timing is perfect, but
It is, but it's very tough.
it's annoying.
It's
God, your timing can be very frustrating in
it's tough.
our minds.
It's tough to walk through because it can be painful. Just like, it can be really painful because it's something that you're like, well, this is it. This is all I have. Or am I ever going to have this? Am I ever going to be able to do that or this? You know what I mean? So it's really painful too. But I think for me, what a verse that really stood out for me in the season of like not knowing if we were gonna have kids or not was Psalm, I think 56. Let me see. Yeah, Psalm 56, verse 8 says, "You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book." And I think I don't know how I came across that verse when I was going through that, but it spoke to me because it was like, everyone tells you, like, oh, God's with you, through everything that you're going through. But to know that, and even when you were crying alone, or when you were like really struggling alone, he's there too, and he took note of that, and he's also feeling in that, sitting in that pain with you, and it's not easy for him to see you go through that either.
Yeah, it's comforting.
Yeah, it is. It was.
I mean, it's just like us sitting with our kids going through, even when they're just sick,
Mm,
just like feeling it, just like being there with them and feeling them in their sickness.
mm,
Well, for not knowing what we were gonna talk about, it's worked out.
yeah,
uh, well, God's timing is perfect.
yeah,
God's timing is frustrating. It's okay. God's timing is can be annoying. It's okay. It's perfect. Just be in his seek his heart, and no matter what, we all have purpose. If you woke up
but
and you
it's
have
also
breath,
okay not to be okay.
yeah, it's okay to
Just
be yeah, it's okay to have
build
a
a community around you that can pray for you and that can also be uh, comforting.
it's okay to it's okay to feel your emotions.
Mhm.
Jesus felt emotion.
Yeah,
And but if you woke up, you have breath in your lungs, you have purpose. And we're all called to serve in whatever giftings we can do. Live selflessly for others.
yeah.
Cool. Love you. Love you, big dog.
Love you too.
Have a beautiful time.